Hey everybody, it is Tuesday at 5 p.m., at least where I am, which means it is time for the Monster Maverick Show. I am your host, Neil, Splinterlands OG Whale, 50% of the team behind X Chaos, and our recently launched and concluded CLP, which is a Chaos Legion pool for the end of year promo. 50% of the team behind Venari Syndicate, and today's a special show. So I wasn't planning on doing a show today. Actually, before I get into all that, let me actually drop the link in Discord. Splinterlands.tv/watch Monster Maverick Show is live. And somebody wanted me to put it on the streamer or video stream something. Here we go. Video streams. Look at me remembering stuff. So I was not planning on doing a show today because it's Christmas. I've been under the weather forever, so I didn't feel like doing anything. And then I checked my Discord, which I haven't been doing much of lately, and I saw that there was a new proposal. So I was like, oh, crap. This is actually stuff I want to talk about. Did I tweet? Clay? No, I did not tweet. I actually got signed out of my Twitter, and I haven't been able to get back in yet. So somebody else will have to do the tweeting and whatnot. But this show is all about Splinterlands, but from the play to earn side. It's the earn side of play to earn. So we're not going to talk about gameplay so much. We're not going to talk about picking the best lineup. It's all about the tokenomics and all things that are going on in the markets and all those kinds of things, kind of behind the scenes. So, but today's a special show because, like I said, I wasn't planning on doing a show at all. And then we got the proposal drop, and I was like, you know what? I want to bring on two of my best soundboard buddies. So on the show, we're going to have Gene Pool Chlorinator, and we're going to have vettev. So vettev is also my partner in Venari Syndicate, so that's good to know. So basically, I really just want to go over the two things that were dropped today. So one was we got the preview of the new Summoner airdrop. And then that'll be a small part. And then there is the DEC-Batteries, or DEC-B, or DEC-B, or whatever you want to call it. That's going to be the big one. And we're going to chat about, what's going on, pros, cons, what we think might happen, all that kind of jazz. So with that, let me go ahead and throw in the theme song so we can get started. Oh crap, I just realized I left that muted. There we go. Alrighty. Oh. So, let me go ahead and bring on my peeps here. Let's go to the Zoom video. There's Gene Pool. How's it going, Gene?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. And
For you.
I actually need a robe. I'm cold. But vettev, why don't you say hello to the peoples?
Hello.
Alrighty. So I think probably most people know both of you guys, but I don't know if you want to do a little intro for each of you. vettev, you're on screen, so why don't you go first?
Oh, sure. All right. So as Neil said, I'm a player here, partner in Venari Syndicate. So I'm not alpha OG, like beginning like Neil and a lot of others. I'd say end of beta. So I got in at a lucky time and rode through quite a bit of waves. 2019, 2020, and the beginning of 2021. It wasn't smooth sailing by any means, but the 2021 boom really caught a lot of us by surprise at how big it was, and so now we're kind of on the hangover side of that right now. But I think talking about this proposal today is really going to hopefully lay a foundation for ways we can go forward.
Yeah, that's what we call foreshadowing, people, where he mentions the hangover. All right, Gene Pool, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm the newbie of the crowd here. I started in January of, I guess, still this year, 2022. New to crypto, got interested in play to earn gaming, and I really like the trading economic side of things. Quickly recognized you two as being kind of the voices of reason in the chaos that is chat, and uh, and so reached out to try and, like you said, use you guys as a sounding board as what we're doing. Dove pretty hard into the economy. I've got a lot of money invested in this ecosystem, and was fortunate enough to find a partner in Yixon that we founded Splex back in, I guess, April, and so now we've grown that into a really large portion of the rental market with the rent column. But also the market, and we've recently added bids and the new prime program, and so all of that has given me the opportunity to meet and network with a lot of great players in the environment, and giving me an excuse to do what I wanted to do anyway, which is spend more time on the markets and learning how things move. And so I'm also excited by this proposal and the potential it represents.
Yeah, you guys have grown amazingly fast with Splex. It's been just just amazing to watch. But yeah, it's a great tool, and we actually had a chat about it on stream. I don't know, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, you were gracious enough to have me on a while back to kind of talk through some of that. So thank you again.
Yeah, no worries. So if anybody's really curious about a deep dive, although things have changed a lot since then, but it's worth checking out. But this is not a Splex promo, but it is a great tool. so so first thing I wanted to do with you guys was to just quickly hit the new fourth Chaos Legion Legendary Summoner airdrop that they announced in chat. I think it was today, along at the same time. So let's go to the post. Immortalis. So this is the fourth summoner. It is a Earth team. It's -1 health. It's Void. It's Shatter. So -1 health on the enemy team. Obviously, not obviously actually, because I have proposed things where it would be -1 health on your team, and then get you extra buffs in exchange for that. But they haven't bitten on that. So. So I haven't read the lore or anything because I never do. But what do you guys think about the summoner here?
Well, first glance, I mean, I thought it was fairly balanced, like the others. I really like the Shatter for, because I know that I used that one ranged Shatter creature a lot, just to get rid of that shield, especially when my Cilia is putting up some armor. So that'll be really useful. And the -1 health is deceptively powerful. Biz taught me a long time ago that you pay attention to it with heal, because heal does the multiple of 3, right?
Right.
So you do 3, and that's the heal. So if you can drop that health point by 1, you're then crippling that heal. Well, you're reducing the heal. Cripple is a different ability.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be fun. It'll be kind of like Basiliscus, kind of like right in the middle. So it'll be interesting.
What about you, Gene?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite lineups is you can sneak up with people on it with Death is to do the Thaddeus with the -1, and you can stack the Weaken and then put a Redemption in there. Death has that Cursed Slime, and the Halfwing Alchemist, the Venari Spellsmith all have Redemption. And so with Earth, I think you really only have, in Modern at least, the Dr. Blight, and there might be another week. Oh, Shin Bilker, however you pronounce that, as a weekend. You can throw Mycelia in there for some rust to get rid of the armor to make sure that when that redemption goes through, it actually hits. I like the idea of the Void is really going to make those healing monsters, the Pellicor Mercenary, the Bramble Pixie, stronger, because they'll have some magic resistance. And I really like Grund with the Shatter, because that first hit will take care of the armor, and the next hit will actually do some damage. And with the -1, he's got a greater chance to proc the trample and get that going. And what was the other one that I thought? Oh, the Failed Summoner was already a beast in low mana, and now it's got Reflect, giving it the Void also is going to be really really powerful in that setup too.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of what's her name from the Death Summoner.
Mimosa?
Mimosa, yeah. So she had the void. Also, that's super useful because obviously magic is very strong. With it. We have phase now, but not every monster has it by any means. So it's almost an aim true kind of attack, but having it is pretty useful. And yeah, I also like to stack weekend. So I actually like death a lot because it has a lot of those debuffs. So I do a lot with weekends and slows to get it in there. Lunacy says he's going to make green very sneaky. So I'm guessing a lot of sneak attacks there. Hewitt says, I think it leaves Modern Earth with a big immunity problem and also lack of speed. Yasik and Lurker might give it a tough time. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Earth still doesn't have. I guess there's one monster with a cleanse. I mean, obviously Llama's got cleanse, and there's one Rift Watcher that's got a cleanse. So Earth has still got some weekend in that noxious fumes if you don't play Llama. It's a good point on Earth not having a lot.
I don't think Earth has a cleanse. That's the one thing that's missing. And the immunity, you only get it with Korra. That's what's fun in brawls. If you get up to silver level with Korra, she just becomes a beast because she gets immunity. So you don't even need Llama with her. You can put her with Mylor for a lower mana, and boom, you got an immune Korra and a poison rule set. Really, really powerful.
Yep. I'm just checking, see if we have anything with cleanse in modern.
So I'm looking at Summoner Lab right now just to see if we've got pops in price, and there have been some significant increases in Chimer Princess, Mushroom Seer, Child of the Forest, Failed Summoner. I don't know whether the percentage is daily or I guess it's 7-day. So don't know how much was recently. But yeah, any of those magic, right? When you get a void that comes in, like one of the best things about using Mimosa when she first came out was you weren't as afraid of using a magic monster with a magic reflect because the void can counteract that. So like Chimer Princess and even Queen Mycelia have really low hit points. So that magic reflect is going to hit it. You void it out. You're doing a lot longer. You're lasting a lot longer in the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking. It looks like the only cleanse in Modern with Earth is Scarred Llama Mage.
Yeah, and that's the summoner. So it only does it to your tank at the beginning of a turn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's funny because in the old days, Earth was all about the heals and the life and everything. It's really changed the meta as things have expanded, and they've added different themes, I guess, to each splinter. But I still think of Earth as like +1 health, lots of heal.
+1 health, lots of heal, and Rinnet.
Yeah.
Right? The archery one.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Obsidian really threw me because I was like, oh, we're putting magic in this?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what that does.
Yep, and it became OP at low levels, that's for sure.
It did initially, for sure.
Eldad says, this summoner will be a lot better than I still don't know how to pronounce this. Possibilis? Probably at the same level
Probably.
As Wraith. It's going to be very useful. Chuni says, good response for Wraith. So, what is Wraith trading at these days? So, was that?
The Void Armor on Wraith kind of is a direct counter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all down to like $15 though. And I don't think this one's going to price a whole lot differently. It's a real direct response to Obsidian.
Yeah.
With, lots of people spamming magic in Earth. So.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Wraith's at 14.3 right now, average.
Yeah. So, with X Chaos, we get 200 plus airdrops each time. And so Yasik sold everything within like 48 hours. And then Possibilius is just grinding out. We're selling, 5-10 a day kind of thing. So it's definitely a weaker market. Oh, well, it's a weaker market overall, but I think the summoner itself is also weaker compared to in the market sense compared to Yasik. And so if we get this at a Wraith level, that's a good kind of middle ground. Everybody wants like a huge hit of a summoner, but then nobody wants anything to be OP. So it's like, nobody's ever happy, right? But
Everyone wants that Yoden and Kitty and to be around for that, but then you don't want to live it when you're going up against it.
right, exactly.
I think the balance has actually been good. I didn't know how the 6-mana summoners were going to land, but it's been pretty balanced.
Yeah, are all the new summoners, all the new legendary ones, are they all 6?
So far, yeah, I would expect them to be.
I think Yaba confirmed that.
Yeah, and the speed meta is really the thing with Yahtzee that everybody, that really is what people play for. You get those fun when you get all the dodges, and he's just a fun summoner to play too with all the RNG on the scatter shot.
Yeah, yeah. I am always reminded that I took a lot of psychology courses in college, and I always remember that variable reinforcement works better than constant reinforcement. So, when you win something, but it's like unexpected, that actually trains your brain better than if you do the same thing, it'll always work. And it's just one of the quirks of psychology that, that's just more rewarding. Let's see. We got a few other comments. Some people saying it might nerf Wraith. Market just reflects the in-game meta. That is mostly true. There's some supply and demand on top of that, but yeah, by and large, the things that are more useful in the meta are going to be, more higher priced and more in demand compared to other cards. And you can really see that within a class of things, which I talk about a lot. If you're looking at, epic magic monsters, then seeing the different spread throughout an edition, you'll be able to tell which ones are used a lot because they'll be significantly higher priced. So that's Summoner. It's 625 packs, gives you a guaranteed 1. Some people, every time there's a new airdrop, somebody drops like, oh, I bought 4 packs and I got a gold foil. It's like, screw you, But so some people are going to luck out, but I'm usually like right at that minimum guarantee. So that's the only thing I count on.
Just because I know we all had a hand in participating or organizing some of the group buys to do this, and we've talked some privately about how we think most of the demand for Chaos Legion has been sucked forward by these group buys. Normally you tell people, hey, go look, you're talking about the 4 and you get a gold foil, but you'd say, hey, top off for your 625 or 650, 675 as we go through with all of that. It'd be interesting to see how much more sales, or if any, we get for Chaos Legion with Burn going on now, and whether that does put a floor in on pack prices. They've been kind of between that $1.40, $1.60, and then on card market occasionally. But interesting to see if we get any more buys based on this summoner coming out, or whether this is people are just going to hold what they got.
Yeah. And we have Yaba PMAT in the chat, one of our illustrious summoners, and he says, we're working on the new Soulbound reward card stats now, so that's an opportunity to boost the weaker summoners by making new cards that pair well with them. Basically, supporting their meta, and making them more in demand, which would be great. I think rewards cards are a great tool that they have to help out different summoners. I'm still going to lobby anything to help Lear Deep Swimmer is going to be the thing to do, whatever that is. I don't know what. But
that's your Amplify rule set to help a little bit with return fire.
It's all every little bit counts.
I like using Lear, especially in the slower rule sets, but I do. It's always bothered me that has a blind that then is relying on a ranged hit to reflect back. So it's like their abilities are countering each other, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a good point. So I didn't want to spend too much time on the summoner. It's cool. I think it'll be useful. It doesn't seem OP, but I think it's fair. The thing I wanted to spend the most time about was this new governance proposal. So SPS governance proposal: sell 2 billion DEC-B for DEC or vouchers. And I think this is the most revised version because there was an edit. So I'm just going to read through this, and we'll get you guys' thoughts, on the tail end here. So, a proposal is being put forth to a vote of the SPS stakeholders to implement a system of burning DEC or voucher tokens in order to receive a discount on future purchases within the Splinterlands game, which will require burning DEC tokens. The way this is proposed to work is that players will be able to burn DEC tokens in order to receive one DECB token, known as DEC-Batteries, typically at a discount such as 0.8 per one DECB. For example, in the future, for any things within the Splinterlands game which require the burning of DEC, DECB tokens will be used instead on a one-to-one basis. DECB would be a typical transferable cryptocurrency token, which would be available within the Splinterlands website, be able to be bought and sold on Hive Engine, and potentially be bridged to other external platforms in the future. For example, if it requires 10k DEC to upgrade a certain building within the land expansion, players would be able to use 10k DECB tokens instead of DEC for that upgrade. Since players could purchase DECB tokens for 0.8 DEC each, using the example above, they then receive a 20% discount on the cost to upgrade that building by burning their DEC for DECB in advance. We also propose to implement the ability to purchase DECB with voucher tokens as well, as we believe it fits well with the main goal of the voucher token, which is to provide discounts and access to various things in the game. The overall goal of such a system is to incentivize players to burn DEC and or vouchers in the short term in order to gain a discount on future features. Some of the features that we expect to require burning DEC in the future, which could then receive a discount by using DECB, are land survey potions, guild building and guild alliance building upgrades such as maintenance and boosts in the land expansion, future mini editions such as orbs, rift dice, and rift watchers pending DAO approval, skins, and cosmetics. Any player who is planning to participate in any of the above features in the future would directly benefit from burning DEC and or voucher tokens to get DECB while they are available, which would potentially push a significant amount of future DEC demand up to now when it is needed most. Please note that any items sold by the Splinterlands company, such as Chaos Legion Rebellion and Tower Defense booster packs, will not be purchasable with DECB tokens. DECB will only be available for new features within the game that burn DEC, such as the items in the list above. Once implemented, the SPS stakeholder community can vote to conduct a sale of a specified amount of DECB tokens at any price in DEC and or voucher tokens at any time and for a specified amount of time in order to help bolster the demand for DEC when/if it is needed. The proposal is asking the SPS stakeholder community to approve the sale of 2 billion DECB tokens for a price of either 0.8 DEC or 0.005 voucher tokens each for a period of 60 days. This means that once the feature is implemented, current goal is to have it live by the end of January. Then up to a max of 2 billion DECB will be available for up to 60 days. Once 2 billion DECB are sold or the 60 days are up, then no more DECB will be available to purchase unless the community votes to offer more for sale, and the pricing may be different for future sales as well based on community approval. For reference, there are currently around 6.3 billion DEC in total circulation, so if approved, this would allow for up to 1.6 billion DEC to be burned for DECB tokens, assuming it was all purchased with DEC. Additionally, there are currently around 6 million voucher tokens in circulation, which does not count any unclaimed tokens, so if all 6.5 million voucher tokens were burned to buy DECB at the proposed rate, it would account for only 1.2 billion out of the 2 billion DECB being proposed to be offered. Note about land survey potions. We understand that a number of community members are against the idea of an extra DEC payment option to receive increased chances of getting higher rarity and better resources on land when surveying deeds. We feel that implementing the DECB concept can help alleviate those concerns while still being able to provide significant new DEC and voucher sinks in the short term. With DECB, players who plan to survey land deeds can instead use DECB tokens, which they can get using DEC with a 20% discount, or they can use the voucher tokens instead. There will be a separate SPS governance proposal for the community to vote on the details of an extra payment option for land surveying. It is not part of this proposal, but we wanted to mention it here because it would be a great first use case for the DECB token should it be approved. All right, that's quite a mouthful. First thoughts. What do you guys think of this whole idea?
I think starting point is what problem is it trying to solve, right? And we discussed this, and Mavchat has discussed it. We have DEC and the SPS flywheel. That whole mechanism requires DEC to be closer to peg or at par value. And so it's a question: all right, what's imbalanced, supply or demand? Well, it seems like we have a problem with both. So we have great oversupply, with extremely low demand in a bear market. Then it's a question of, all right, what lever can the community or the team pull? And that's where I think this idea comes from, being that it's the supply side. So if you can either reduce the supply or lock the supply away without having to rely on today's demand, then that's what we want to do. And so to me, what this essentially does is put in a third variable of time, right? So this is kind of like, I'm locking this up into this new token. It can only be used once the purchasable items are in demand. So the demand then meets the supply at a later time. And until that point, then that liquidity is effectively removed from the tokens churning around the marketplace and otherwise. So I think that's the intent or the problem that it's trying to solve.
Hey, Gene, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that perspective. I know Yaba's joined the chat, and his comments in the past have been he wasn't sure how much demand there would be for this, because effectively we can right now lock up a big discount on future purchases by going out and buying DEC today. It's at 0.006 splintoshis, or however that's you guys express that, but
650 splintoshis is where
there
we're
you
at.
go. So but it's gone up since this proposal's come out. But you could buy and hold it today. But I can't tell you how many times I bought and hold it, and then, oh my gosh, that's a great deal, and I go buy this thing, or I throw it into a lot of the DEC I'd set aside. I gave to the company for part of the holiday pack promo and what to do. And I think there's an important psychology component too in those of us that watch closely. Go look at the peak monsters and see what the total number of DEC out there is, and if that number's going up or not going down, then you get into that supply and demand concern that vettev's referencing. And we know too that with the reward cards having gone down in price so much, we're seeing a lot more reward cards being burned, which is offsetting the potions that people would otherwise be buying to open all these packs that they bought. So it feels like we're just kind of holding parity with DEC. That's good, because we're seeing that DEC value accrue to reward cards, and that's what it should do. It should either accrue to cards or it should accrue to SPS. So that part of it is working, I think. But I think this will actually hit both it'll accelerate the demand while also locking up the supply on only those things where DEC is burned. And I think that's an important component of this proposal. It's not just DEC, it's those things that burn DEC, like the guild upgrades and most notably land upgrades. That lets us accelerate that and hopefully be in a position where we see a little bit of DEC scarcity sooner.
Yeah, it's it's always vettev brought up the question of time. So like a year from today, next New Year's, I think none of this will be an issue, because land will be out. It'll have massive sinks for DEC, but people obviously don't like the fact that we're in a bear market. They're not willing to buy and hold DEC because we've seen the price go down. We've also seen the price go up. With the Chaos Legion sale, we saw a lot of volatility around the price of DEC. It was as high as $850, and then it's over, and then it's gone off, not off a cliff, but it's $650, $660 now, and so that shows you how little it takes for the price of DEC to swing around significantly. So even though it's got $500,000 worth of liquidity out there, it's still thin enough that large swings in demand and supply will change things. So yeah, I mean, this is consciously bringing all that forward as much as possible to soak up that extra supply. So I guess obviously this is a test, right? Because it's limited by 60 days. It's limited by amount. We're talking about with the current discount, we're talking about 1.6 billion DEC max. I tend to think a lot of vouchers are going to be used for this because there's relatively little use out there. Yes, you could use them for bonus packs. Yes, you could use them for nodes and things, but they aren't, right? The supply is just increasing. So I tend to think people will turn around and use those vouchers for the DECB. But the ratios are set up so that it's not enough to take out the whole thing. So we're still going to look at a good chunk of DECB, or of DEC being burned for DECB. So I guess my biggest question is, will it work? I guess. What do you guys think?
Shane, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think that the point is very important about it being a test. I know several of us have had those conversations with Yaba and him saying, hey, I don't know what the demand for this is going to be. By putting it out there at just 2 billion, I mean, that's still a lot. Those of us that have a significant amount of land, and you two have a lot more than I do, know that we're going to spend some DEC on upgrading our land. And so, in my opinion, it only makes sense to go ahead and do that. I think it's important that the comments you made about vouchers, it's one of my concerns and one of the things I like about the proposal. It presents some arbitrage opportunity. It puts a floor in for vouchers. So if you look at that 0.005 vouchers per DECB, that tells you can get 200 DECB per voucher.
Right.
My sense is that since you're getting an 80% discount for DECB and it can only be used for burning things that would burn DEC, so it's not as valuable as DEC that can be used from the store to buy packs. It's got a little bit less utility. Then I think that we're going to see a discount on DECB versus just pure DEC. And for roughing in the math, I'm using that 80%. So if we say that every voucher is good for 160 DEC, and DEC is trading at that 650 Splintoshis, then that puts the math somewhere in that every voucher should have a floor of in that 10.5 cents or somewhere in that neighborhood. And we've seen voucher prices go from this morning at 7.2 cents up to, I think I've seen them as high as 9.2, 9.3 cents. So the market seems to have caught on to that math. Yaba did write into the proposal that if we do future tranches of DECB, it might be at a different ratio. So we could see the voucher price creep up or down based on what that arbitrage value is. But I think it does a really good job of, if the vouchers are supposed to be derivatives of SPS and the nodes, and the DEC value is supposed to accrue to to SPS, then it keeps it all in the ecosystem to give that test with a manageable number. And I expect it to all virtually go away almost immediately. I think all 2 billion DECB will sell out very quickly. I know YGG SPL is already looking at the math on, we've got 2 regions and we got to figure out how to upgrade that land. I'm looking at the math as an individual player. I think we'll see it go quickly. It'll prove the value of this idea, which the three of us, I don't know that we were the original conceivers of, but we kind of had the idea and floated some of that. And I'd love to see it work and then see more of it happen over time as it works.
For sure. I think the biggest thing for me in this proposal that surprised me actually was the vouchers. So I don't know if we had talked about specifically how vouchers would play into it, but having that floor for vouchers doesn't just give a floor for the token. It allows people to reassess the choices in the economy of what would earn vouchers, right? So if we priced out ROI for a node, it includes vouchers, and with it ever going down, there's no real floor to an ROI at a certain purchase price, which is why nodes have been selling 750 to 900 right about now. So this I think should help. But the proposal overall is another in a line of, is it just temporary, right? Is this just going to be a bump? Because it did just say 60 days or 2 billion. There is an option for the community to vote on it, which I think is good. So, and I agree with the test. But more to the situation is land. So if we go through the 5 things that this can be used for is land survey potions, that has to be a DAO vote, right? Guild buildings and guild alliance building upgrades. I would think that the largest holders of DEC are likely in guilds that already have maxed out guild buildings. I mean, if they're in the guilds. So that's something to think of. Building upgrades, maintenance, and boosts and land expansion. That's really the core of anybody with land would likely do this. Future mini editions, that's pending DAO approval, because for those that came after SPS, they see bonus packs or the bonus sets, mini sets in SPS. Well, that's not how this was. It was always orbs and dice were in DEC, and it was burned. And that was a great DEC sync. By turning it over to SPS, now it becomes a decision of, okay, how are we going to get the community to agree to drop the SPS that would go into the DAO and potentially fund the DAO after the 5 years or 6 years versus just burning the DEC. So I think that's going to be a challenge. And then skins and cosmetics, we don't know when that's coming, what price point. So I don't think that's a strong deal. So I just wanted to go through the list to be like, okay, where is this really going to draw attention for people to buy these DEC batteries? For me personally, the building upgrades, like you were saying, Gene. I mean, we got land. We're going to have to put stuff on land. And honestly, for me, if DEC is near my account, it might end up in my account and on bids. And I might not want to do that, right? At 600 Splintoshis, I might want to hold that. And holding that when there's some good bid prices is sometimes tough to do. So I will be buying these if they're available pretty significantly, especially with vouchers, because that there's a lot of people that have vouchers available. So between the vouchers and a savings account for DEC, I would be buying into it. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the test is. And I do think this does put some pressure on the team and the devs to be like, all right, let's deliver on some of the, what do these building upgrades and land look like? What are the ranges? Is it 10,000 per plot we should expect? 10,000 DEC? What would be the range be? That will aid in I think the community voting to do this again if there's significant enough interest in the 2 billion.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, the biggest thing is also the land stuff, the survey potions and the building upgrades. You know, I know it says that we're gonna have to vote again on survey potions, but I think that will pass. Just because, you know, why not? Right? You know, the mini edition stuff, you know, that was put to a vote a couple months ago and was defeated at the polls. Although I think everything should be priced in DEC, because so SPS is the governance token. I should never want to get rid of that, right? So that's my huge problem with pricing things in SPS. But you know, it was done. There was a history. You know, things didn't exist at the time and all that stuff. But is what it is at this point. So, but yeah. So building upgrades, survey potions. So land use is going to be, I think, the largest sink for DEC. And, you know, I have the same problem. I keep nothing liquid, right? It's either, you know, in cards and nodes, like, you know, assets that will produce cash flow over time, or, you know, I'm selling them, you know, typically I sell half and half, you know, it just depends on kind of my mood and stuff. So, you know, I have virtually zero liquid stuff to do at any one time, but, you know, through Splex and through my nodes, you know, I do have, you know, a pretty decent income every day, so I will definitely be putting, you know, vouchers and DEC to work here. Because, you know, I have a couple regions, and, you know, I was doing the math. So if we take 2 billion DECB, and there's 150,000 plots, if you divide the one by the other, you get 13,000. So automatically that makes me think, okay, the survey potions are going to cost 10,000 because that's just going to eat up the whole thing. And then, you know, once land rolls out and, you know, we get buildings and upgrades, that's just going to, you know, fuel more DEC burning, DEC minting from SPS, because it'll push everything up to par value. And, you know, maybe it's worth talking a second about the flywheel. You know, I've obviously talked about it a lot on my previous shows, but for those who don't know, the basic idea is that, so DEC inflation has mostly been turned off, right? So at the current time, the only way to make DEC is, I think there's still leaderboard rewards there, and you can burn cards. Or you can burn SPS, those three things. Now with the soulbound rewards cards, those are going to be only burned, you know, if people want to liquidate them. But you know, the last version that we heard was that they have to be max level for that. So that's gonna slow down significantly. And then, you know, as demand for DEC increases, then it'll go up to 1,000 splintoshis or 1,025 or some little arbitrage there because there's some friction built into the burning system. And then people will go out and use their SPS or buy SPS in order to burn it, mint DEC, sell that into the market, lower the price, and get back more SPS than they started with. So all of that demand value is supposed to go into SPS and create a rising, hopefully, market for SPS, which to me is a built-in form of marketing. A rising game governance token will attract attention from across the world of DeFi, and some portion of those will come in and take advantage of a rising market, especially when everything else is not doing well in a crypto winter. Just people should just know that that's kind of how the flywheel system is supposed to work. And in order to get there, we need to get that DEC price up, which means more demand. So this is pulling forward the demand, trying to boost all that. So I mean, we're at 660 splintoshis. I mean, Gene, you think this is going to go quickly? You said like virtually instantly.
I don't know if it'll be quite instant because it's 2 billion. I think I did say near instant, but I think it's going to go very fast, partly because there's just so much. The vouchers are just sitting out there. People, there's not a lot else to spend them on. And that's really my only concern with this proposal, is that by allowing the vouchers to basically mint more mint more DEC with the vouchers, you're effectively increasing the cap of vouchers. But again, because vouchers are a derivative of SPS and the nodes, I think that all flows. And there's a comment, you said you think the survey potions will pass for land. I believe Eldon in chat said he didn't think so, and Fantasy Crypto is saying, hey, don't discount landowners. While the landowners have a lot of SPS, they also have a long-term vision for the game. And I think the DEC flywheel that you just encapsulated is why I do think landowners, even though they will have to buy the survey potions in order to maximize their land, will end up recognizing that by spending the DEC on that and forcing everybody else to effectively spend the DEC on that, we're all sharing the load to get rid of that DEC overhang and get that flywheel started. And so I think we'll see these sell fast. I think we'll see probably more voted for in the future once we get some more visibility on how much we're going to have to spend. You're probably right around the 10,000 DEC per survey potion to get your land done. And then, of course, we need to know how much each building is going to cost and what the upgrades for that will be. But I think we need land to be a long-term game. It doesn't need to be something that everybody can go out and maximize right away with the overhang that's out there. You've got to have that sense of progression in a game. And so we don't want to do so much of this DECB at a discount now that we discount the future growth potential of having the land and the other components. There's got to be a longer term set of sinks there as we get through this. But I do think all of us that have a decent stake in land and investment in the game recognize that we can't just keep passing the same dollars around amongst ourselves and expect growth. We need that built-in market of the token rising and other people coming in and saying, hey, this is cool and there is an opportunity to build something and it's fun to build, not just focused on the ROI side of it, and get there. So I think it's a good experiment.
Yeah, I on the progression note, I would love to see things priced so that the 150,000 plots take 3-4 years to build out. Because I agree with you. You have to price in the growth of the of the economy as a whole, and if you make it too cheap now, then it's just like a pay to play kind of approach rather than an empire building, which is what I want to see out of the game. but that's just me. So people are arguing in chat. I have not
Yeah.
been really able to keep up, but
So the general topics that I've sort of picked out of here is it's around voting. So that this proposal and certain aspects of the proposal are put up for a vote. Yava's responses were of this uh, new iteration of the game and the community where we're moving towards a community DAO, and these will be in votes. And so some of the points are the things actually able to be voted on, and we read the proposal. There certain ones are going to be voted on at a later time. And then the other thing is, okay, well, if these are land surveys that is going to cost landowners more for potions, and the landowners most are the largest SPS holders, they'll be the largest vote. Who's going to say this is going to pass anyway? It's just asking them to pay more if we do land potions. But I think all of us here, us three as landowners, and there were some in the chat that said, we're for it. It's just like a potion when opening a pack, right? You can open the pack with the normal percentage, or you can buy a potion, and then it would be a better percentage. But more so, I think what is true for a lot of the large SPS holders and land holders is they're long-term players and investors in the game. If you're a holder of land that bought it when land was available and launched, 2 years ago?
Yep.
You've held it through some extreme price volatility.
Don't remind me.
and some of it locked behind some deals, right? Some pools that just got released, right? And I know Gank has talked about this. He had his region, tied up as a region, and he'd either have to sell all or nothing. And that was tough for him to watch. So it has trained those hodlers to look at the long game. And the biggest value for our land is if we're able to get the flywheel going with items in the game priced in DEC, so that SPS has a mechanism for being traded for DEC. So the economy that's been tried, and I think it's the one that's going to rise to the top in this new Web3. But not just of the whales, because where this flywheel really is important, excuse me, is the player, the new player, the player that's just earning a little bit of SPS here or there, but wants to improve their deck. Well, they're not going to be able to take SPS and just go to the market. So they're going to have to trade it. And when we get to par with DEC, instead of having to worry about, Hive Engine or something else, just go to the flywheel function, SPS for DEC. That's what we want. We want the new players to be making those economic decisions and reinvesting to buy packs, to buy stuff from the secondary market. That isn't a whales game. A whales game is already in play. A whale can already do the swaps on Binance or do the swaps on Pancake Swap or Sushi Swap or on Hive Engine. Whales already know how to do that. We don't need the flywheel. The flywheel is critical for the new players and the minnows to have a secure foundation in the game from an economic standpoint, that what they have going forward is value in the cards and value for their time.
That's a great point. I'm so far on the other side. A lot of times it's hard for me to see that, but the simplicity that you're talking about is huge. So, Gene Pool, you're like the poster boy for this. You had no crypto a year ago, right?
Yep, none at all.
None at all. Yeah. And then you came in, and I'm sure you've dabbled in other things, but you found Splinterlands, and that has been your kind of stepping stone into the whole crypto ecosystem. How much easier or faster would it have been if you could do everything on the Splinterlands site that vettev is talking about?
Yeah, I mean, one of the main reasons that I chose Splinterlands over ecosystems like Gala, which I looked at first, was the ease of going in and using PayPal and a credit card to buy credits, to buy cards that then allowed me to earn crypto, or play the market with flipping those cards. And, when I sold the cards, I got crypto, ideally for a profit, less so as, prices have gone down. But really focused on that side of it. And that's the beauty of what Splinterlands has built, is making it easy for the normies, of which I was one not that long ago, to come into the ecosystem, buy in, and do trades. So if it's all built into the game where you can easily swap, it's no different than any other Web 2 game where you're swapping diamonds for gold coins, and the diamonds are the ones you have to buy from the store, but you earn the gold coins for playing the game, and they have different uses in the game. Like, everybody understands that, and you want the folks that don't really know anything about crypto to be able to come in and do that. And as we talk about runway for the game, but also this company that we know and the leadership team that we know and trust is leading this, one of the things they're doing is marketing this platform and the tokenomics, not specifically SPS and DEC, but the concept of tokenomics and their consulting services to other, whether it's Web 2 or media, the Warner WMG stuff, or what they're doing with GLS is eating their own dog food on, hey, they built this concept that makes it easy for folks to come into the ecosystem, and now they can sell that to others, generating more revenue to give them more runway to make this stuff happen. So I think it's really important that they continue to prove out this idea of crypto doesn't have to be cryptic. It's something everybody can figure out and have access to pretty easily. And for me, it really was pretty straightforward. Like, Hive was all I knew. And so no gas fees and no, all of those things, and doing all the transactions and making stuff work. It's the perfect environment to get people used to coming in. I just create a username like I would in any other game, and play the ecosystem in that way. So yeah, it's essential that it actually makes sense. We see people doing it now when it's, quite frankly, stupid to swap SPS for DEC in the store, and they do it anyway because it's easy. People are paying 20% over the market value for packs on the non-COD market instead of going to Hive Engine because it's easy. I mean, it has to happen, that we get it there. And we as a community, especially those who are the most invested, have to do what we need to do in order to continue to get it to a place where everybody can easily understand how it all works.
Yeah, easy definitely has a value. That's for sure. I was just hearing outside my house, somebody down the street is blowing leaves or something. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pay somebody to do that. So,
yeah,
because I don't want to, and well, really, I just don't want to. That's what it comes down to. Time is more valuable.
Why we started Splax. I'm sorry, I had to throw it.
Yeah, and I use Splax because time is more valuable. There is an argument to be made that if you're really, really good manually pricing your cards, you might do better, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's such a small premium that it's worth automating, at least for me. So everybody can make their own decisions, not financial advice, all that jazz. Yeah. So before we run out of time here, I do want to hit on what are some arguments against this proposal. Why should we maybe not do DECB?
The biggest one for me is vouchers. I like, because you only get vouchers from staking SPS or having the nodes. I like that we're giving some value to vouchers. I worry that we were told that it's only going to be SPS and cards that can be used to mint more DEC. And now we're saying, oh, and vouchers. And it makes sense for the reason why we have vouchers. So I get it. But there's also that argument from people saying, what else are they going to change?
Yeah.
Which has been
the
theme of
discontent. I do want to nitpick. So technically, this is not minting more DEC. What it's doing is reducing the demand in the future for DEC.
Yeah, good point.
So
that's because that's a big criticism that the community has isn't this just printing DEC in the future at 20% discount? Isn't that just 20% more DEC? And it's not, because when you look at a currency and an economy, it's all about the velocity of the available supply. So once you've locked it away, you've essentially earmarked it for future demand. So as long as that future demand is significantly greater than whatever amount that's been locked, then it has a relatively little effect on any inflation or discount that comes from the purchase of that future valued DEC batteries in this case.
Yeah, yeah. All in economics terms, decisions are always made on the margin. So it's always what's available now, and markets are forward-looking, trying to collate all the information available at any given time to come to a decision as to what something is worth right now, given all its future uses. So.
And I think some from the chat, I had some concerns just nitpicking technicalities of it, but from the chat, some of the community concerns were the printing thing, which you just addressed, changing of the goalposts or rules. So if we do this and it's usable on these future items, will that be different? Will it not be one-to-one? Stuff like that. Those are the concerns. So just making sure that if this is in the hands of the DAO, that there is a way that that's enforced and ensured. But the only other piece that I see is really a concern about this solution is just the potential temporary nature of it. Because there's this, and Neil, I don't know the term that you came up when I was talking to you about this before, which is in a marginal demand where if we have 6 billion DEC tokens, if we remove a third of them, does the demand we see today actually drop as well because it was the availability of tokens which sort of created some of that demand, right?
Yeah.
So it's sort of a concern of how far will this go of proving it'll succeed in what we want it to do. I think that this isn't going to be immediately reflected in token price. That shouldn't be the metric. I think the metric on this is if there's interest from the community in terms of votes that people want to do this. I know I do. I'm saying on stream, I will vote for this and I will buy some. And then the other piece is that the demand is significant. Because if this is significant and it sells out quickly, we have a relative floor price during this time for vouchers, and those get used, and we have a good amount of DEC burned through this, then the community can be uplifted that, oh, we should look at this again. Maybe instead of 20% discount, let's try a 15% discount, something like that. And then whittle it down, and we can roll this until some of those demand items are rolled out, right? Because that's what we're trying to stopgap it. Yeah. Whenever that is, we're trying to stopgap it. And that's the unknown. That's what makes everyone uncomfortable, is we don't know how many days there are, how many seasons of play there are between now and some of those deck syncs are available.
Yeah. Is Farp on the chat? Because he could answer all our questions as when land.
I know, right? He was doing good at this launch point. I don't know if he's ready to answer the hey, that'd be a lot.
Yeah. I am actually surprised that on two things. So one is the lines about future DAO allocations for DECB, and I'm also surprised that these are going to be tradable. I really thought that on the first reading, before there was an edit, I really thought they were going to be soul bound, because by making them tradable, then you're introducing some complexity there. It's like, well, if I have demand for DEC. I'm going to check two different places. I'm going to check, all the DEC markets, and then I'm going to check DECB to see if anybody's trading at a discount for, burnable uses in the future, and that just introduces complexity that wouldn't be there if they were soul bound. But
that's true. I think there's an arbitrage opportunity. There's a more sophisticated, I wouldn't call it an investment opportunity really, but arbitrage. And then for new players, it's really of no issue, because a new player isn't going to have to worry about DEC batteries to stockpile DEC into a future land or any of the other uses. And further, I think to your point that we were talking about before, is it's about removing it from the liquid supply of what can be used on the current burn sinks now, right?
Yeah.
And so that's important. So it's really a different thing. It's a set aside. And I was uncomfortable at first, but now I'm more comfortable, and I'll probably put more in because there's an out. If for some reason I put too much in, or maybe I want to liquidate some things, I have the option to liquidate that position, even at a discount of what I paid. So that actually makes it a safer bet for me than it did before.
That is true. Final thoughts. We are down to 1 minute left.
I think that was my final thought.
All right. J-Bull, what you got?
No, I think it's an experiment well worth doing, and I'm excited to see how the community responds to it. And hopeful that it'll go well and give Yava and the team and the rest of us another opportunity to look at doing this again in the future.
Yeah, I think it's worth trying. I'm going to vote for it. I would say, to vettev's point about kind of definition of success. If we sell out in 30 days, I think that shows interest from the market. If it goes the full 60, probably not. So.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so thanks guys for hanging out with me for the last hour. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And that's all the time we have for today. So see ya next time. Cheers.